Hey, this is Katie, and leads are the thing that either wants to take all your time or all your money. It's time to get that in order and get you an agency that makes you money right now. And that's what we're going to talk about today on ActionCAST. Okay, this is a big one, and for a big hitter, you need someone that knows their stuff. And that's why today on ActionCast, we have Jessica Nobles, the co-founder of Home Care Ops, who herself has a strong resume as a home care agency owner, been through the trenches, been there, done that, and can teach us how, and now focuses her time on teaching us how to do it better. And that is what we do here. And welcome, Jessica, and thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I love talking about lead generation, and not because I was born great at it, but because it was one of my biggest areas of uncertainty, of insecurity, of unpredictability. And it really kept me stalled in my business for a long time is because I didn't have a consistent flow of leads coming in. And when I did, I didn't nurture them efficiently and effectively so it would continue to grow along with me in my business.
That's awesome. Yes. And so what we see in our action leaders, but also what we see in the community at large is that leads can be that thing that is either your secret weapon. If you really know how to use this is the thing that might not be sexy to talk about, but this is what makes real business, or it's a negative word, but it can almost be parasitical and just pull every bit of prosperity and every bit of potential that your agency has. So it's a big thing that owners need to be able to handle in their daily operations. So I will say, based on your experience, what are the biggest challenges that owners face when they come with leads in general, leads in generation?
Yeah, well, there's 7 big pain points that I see commonly across all size agencies, because working with, especially within our action leaders and our home care boardroom, we're working with people who are well over the $100,000 a month in revenue. And they are facing all of the pain points that I'm just going to dive into. But I think it's really good to set the foundation of lead generation, because a lot of times we use the term marketing. And we're going to talk about marketing today. Marketing is a part of the step. We're going to talk about my 7-step framework of turning leads into revenue. It's going to include marketing, but there's lead generation, there's marketing, and then there's sales. A lot of times people have this blanket understanding of, as long as I'm marketing, I am going to generate leads, and those leads are going to turn into revenue, and it's just going to magically happen because I'm putting enough effort or I'm putting enough money into it. And that just isn't the case. And it leads to these 7 pain points that I see over and over and over again. And I would love to know, for all of you tuning in, whenever you hear one that's yep, that's the pain point that I am dealing with right now, let me know in the comments what that pain point is. And the first one, it's just inconsistent leads. You're either not generating enough leads, or they're coming in an unpredictable way. Where I see that really comes from is usually you're only relying on maybe 1 to 2 referral partners, someone who is generating or sending you leads reoccurringly, every week or every month or bi-weekly, to where you can kind of count on. If it's a home health company, this is a big discharge day, or this is the day that they're trying to move different things off their docket. And so when you only have 2 or 3 referral partners, if something goes astray there, or something changes within their system or their rhythm, or God forbid, there is another agency that comes on the scene and they outdo your donuts or your Chick-fil-A nugget tray, and they kind of score that referral partner, then you're in trouble. And just rule of thumb, talking with our action leaders in our coaching program and those that are building and already have those 8-figure home care agencies, we always say, just as a quick reference of how many referral partners should you have, you should have 2 to 3 per $1 million revenue. So if you're doing $1 million in revenue, you need at least 1 to ideally 3 referral partners that you can really count on them giving you leads consistently. So if you're at 2 million, then you're going to want that 2 to 5 referral partners who are consistently giving you leads, meaning that they're vetted, they're quality, it's someone that you can count on, and they're not just a referral source. And that will help tremendously in just building in those consistent leads that are predictable. And one of the biggest areas of uncertainty and growth is if when you have no idea, when is my next lead coming in? When is my next referral coming in? And that really leads to the next pain point is, and I hear it so often, is I'm getting leads, but they're not quality. Like they're not leads that I can actually serve. They're not best suited for what I do. It's either that it's a minimum amount of hours, or it's outside my scope, or it's a payer source that I don't do. And you end up feeling like you're wasting time on avenues or lead sources that don't turn into clients. That means that they're not turning into revenue. There's no ROI on it. And that really stems from not being clear on who is your right fit client. And more than likely, you're probably selling from services rather than solutions. And that from not truly understanding what is your client's pain point. And so often when I'm talking to home care owners and I ask them, what is your value proposition? What makes you different? What makes you unique? They usually talk about, well, we do this and we do that. And we have this built in within our system but what they're not telling me is what pain points are you solving? And when it comes to lead generation and growing and scaling in general, you don't grow your agency just by chasing more opportunity. You do it by solving more problems. What problems are you actually solving for your clients? Are you communicating from that? Do you have a solutions first approach to talking about your services, talking about your team, talking about your client base? Because whenever you really dial in your messaging and even your offer structure, like this is what we offer, you offer more than just caregivers by the hour in the home. If that's what you're doing is saying, oh, we offer assistance with ADLs, we send a caregiver out to your home, that is a service. Talk about the actual offer of solutions and the outcomes of those solutions. And you'll begin to see that the quality of your lead will rise.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I just want to mention that wherever you're watching this, that can be rewound and take notes, because I'm sure owners were like, wait, what is she saying? What did she just say here? But that, like, there's so much wisdom in that is really awesome.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I want to serve so hard, and I want you guys to get it like so much today that I'm probably going to overserve. I'm going to over deliver. I'm probably going to tell you too much. So you may have to watch this a few times, but I promise you're going to get so many nuggets and so many just value statements in just our few minutes together. And that really goes to time, because I know I only have so much time to capture your attention and hold your interest right now today. And it all goes down to time constraints. That's the third number one pain point, if there can be a third number one pain point, not just number 3, but the third number one pain point is time constraints. You're so buried in daily operations, you're so buried in the weeds that lead generation is put on the back burner. Or even worse, you do all of these lead generation tactics, but there's no strategy behind it. Or you strategically design the tactics and then there's no follow up and follow through. And one thing that lead generation requires is follow up and follow through, because it's not just about getting the lead. A lead that is not followed up on, that it's not followed through with, it's never going to make you money. Not only is it potential, it's wasted potential. And that's even worse, because more than likely we probably made an investment to acquire that potential or that opportunity. So time constraint is like one of the top reasons why we see that lead generation is such a challenge to really not even master or perfect, but just to do it consistently. And
that's so true.
Yeah. And talking about just all the different things, it leads me to my fourth point, and there's an overwhelming amount of options. And when it comes to lead generation and marketing and even sales, there is so much noise in our industry right now. Everybody's given great tactics. Everybody is sharing great strategies, but they're all slightly different because everybody has their own value proposition. And we begin to see a lot of Frankensteining. So when people are doing things, they're doing so many things that are hearing so many things or considering so many things that they get into overwhelm. The options are so overwhelming. And then whenever you think about the actual things that requires them to do, whether it be like networking or referral partnerships or lunch and learns or doing social media posts or all of the things, should I do SEO? Should I change my website? Should all the different things that comes with those lead generation, marketing, sales conversations, it can be really overwhelming. And so people get into that, oh my gosh, like I will figure that out tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes until they're in a place of survival of I either get more leads or I have to let go of some of my staff, or I either get more leads or I'm not going to be in business at the end of the month. And that's a really, really terrible place to be in, not only from a standpoint of growth, but a standpoint of sanity. So definitely just the amount of overwhelming options. And so often we overcomplicate things and we don't actually leverage things that we're already working in every day. And like leading to the number fifth pain point is not leveraging your current network, or what I call your circle of influence. You're not tapping into your existing clients. Your existing clients, they all have doctors. A lot of them have specialists. Many of them have podiatrists. A lot of them already have home health. Some of them may be on hospice. You already have a built-in circle of influence where you don't have to go make a new partner. You just establish the alignment that is already there. You already have credibility and authority built in by saying, hey, we're already partners in care for Miss Jones. I just want to introduce myself so that you can put a name and a face with this side of the solutions, ensuring her great care outcomes. Like, are you leveraging your current network? And that not only does that go to more lead generation, that also will increase retention. It will increase satisfaction. It will increase overall communication between you and your client's family, and their professional care providers. So I really encourage you, if you're not leveraging your network, if you don't have a system or a process already built into your system on the front end and the back end, because we don't just want to lead to have a lead. We want a lead to make revenue, and then we want to retain that revenue. If you're not already doing that, I highly suggest you start there, because you already have so much influence that you can tap right into. And that leads to the sixth thing. And there's no tracking and there's no measuring. I talk to home care owners all of the time, and they're doing millions a year. They have far surpassed the $100,000 in monthly revenue. And they say, I don't really know what's working and what's not. Like, I hire salespeople, but then the salespeople, they don't really meet the outcomes. They don't meet they don't achieve the KPIs. They don't hit them. And then we'll ask them, well, what are you tracking? How are you measuring results? And oftentimes what they say, this is what we've been doing that's working the best, actually hasn't been working like they think it is. Or the things that they sometimes say, we've been doing this, but I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth the time we put in it. It's where majority of the revenue is coming from. So not tracking or measuring what they're doing for lead generation is a huge one. So set the targets for your team each week. And this is targets that we want to hit. This is the actions to be doing. This is what productivity and success looks like in this area. And then if you're running a marketing campaign, if you're running an ad, if you're doing the social posts, if you're going to the networking meetings, what are the targets and how do you measure success? And just to give you an example, networking meetings, I'm sure everybody at this point has went to a networking meeting. Many people feel like it's not worth it because they go in and they try to get the 50 cards and walk in, they walk out, follow up with a few maybe, but the rest of the cards go in a drawer. When the targets should be, When I go to the networking meeting today, my goal, like my target, is to walk out with 2 to 3 people. So I just want to connect with 2 to 3 people. I want to begin building and establish a relationship with them. I want to go ahead and get them on the calendar so that we can set up a meeting of how can we collaborate together. I want to vet and qualify them at that networking meeting. Is this someone that would be worth my time? How long have
Mhm.
they been with the company? If they've only been with the company for 3 months and they were at another company 3 months ago and they also work for this other company, it's probably not a referral source that I want to build a relationship with, because they're going to be a lot of turnover. If they're not really in my market and they're not serving my people, I'm going to ask them, who do you serve and what's the biggest pain point that you really deal with? And if it's something that's totally outside of my market, then I'm not going to take their card and spend a lot of time on follow up and follow through. So
Mhm.
really tracking and measuring, analyzing, like that has to be in your system. And then seventh thing, you would think this is pretty obvious, but it really is a major, major pain point, a major problem, and just a major constraint that I see in home care at every level. And that is they're not actually capturing leads. They say they want leads. They put in the work to do the leads. They do the initiatives, they run the campaigns, they run the ads, they drive people to their site. They do the social post, but they don't actually capture a lead. They just have created more opportunity, but opportunity that has no capture point. You're going to have potential clients slipping through the cracks every single day, every single initiative, because there's not a system to capture. So when we say, what do you have to capture to actually make a lead and not just potential lead, is you have to capture their interest. But before you have to do that, you have to capture their attention. Like, how are you capturing their attention? Are you speaking to their pain point? They really, really don't care about how great your business is if you don't actually speak to a pain point that they have. It won't even attract their initial attention. And then they have to invest that interest in you. Like, all right, they got my attention, they've got my interest. Now I'm going to give them my information. And that is when a lead becomes a lead. How are you capturing their information? How are you getting their phone number? How are you getting their email address? Are you getting one? Are you getting both? What is your follow-up mechanism? And then once you get it, how are you going to follow up with them? What are you going to send them? How are you going to showcase how you help them overcome their pain point? So that is the biggest pain points that I see for home care owners, is they don't know how to overcome those constraints.
That's awesome. Yes. And I'll say that in working with home care owners like we do, I feel like they look at those constraints as individual issues. Like they don't see that linking connection of, I can't, like, all the time. And I know we work with the same people on a daily basis, but you hear people will come in and say, you just have to accept that you're going to have 70% no shows for I've been in this business for such and such amount of time, and you're just going to have 70% of people that don't show up for an interview. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, you don't have to accept that at all. That might be like an outlier, or that might be, you're only one side of the relationship, and I understand that. But no, if you have been in it for X amount of time and that has been your lived experience, like there's something in that chain that you need to look at, and it's not on them. There's something in your chain that needs to be corrected, and it needs to be improved. And it hurts to see owners like have that individual mentality that just carries them to the next thing. And sitting here listening to you, I can see those years of operating wisdom. Like, even though you're the visionary, and we talk all the time about, you're the visionary, and you inevitably think of big things for us to do in the moment, you have that ability to see those steps and steps and steps, because you've lived them. You have lived this. You know what? I attract a lot of attention, but I'm not doing this over here, or I'm capturing this amount, but then there's the follow through. So you have the wisdom to see the connection of all that. And I think for a lot of owners that are watching us today, they probably just felt that, oh my gosh, Clint's is this thing. If you've ever I know you have, but he's like, it's like a bad sci-fi. It's all connected. And like he does that. And that's what that reminds me of. So a lot of owners have just had that realization that, oh my gosh, this is all connected.
Yeah.
What do you say to that owner who's just having this moment where they see it's all connected? You just outlined their business lived experience in a few moments. What do you say to them? Where's that place to start? What's the next step for them?
Yeah. Well, that goes to like just over my experience and honestly filling gaps within my own business and then helping other home care owners to identify and fill the gaps in their business. I created like what I call the 7-step conversion funnel. And if you heard me 5 years ago, I probably called this my marketing funnel. But then I realized I don't just need a funnel for marketing and I don't need a lead generation funnel. I need a funnel that's going to actually convert into revenue, turning those leads into revenue. It has to be a clear through line goal and intent. And this 7-step conversion funnel started with a 3-step and then a 4-step. And then I was like, I still got things falling through the gaps here. Like things still aren't converting. And I was that home care owner who I was like, I have a 90% conversion rate. Like the only clients that I don't get are the ones that I don't want. But you know what I was counting? I was counting conversion from the time that people call and schedule an in-home assessment or an in-home visit. That was what I was considering a conversion rate. I wasn't looking at here is all of my leads. If I would have been looking at here's all the leads come in and this is how many that I convert, it would have been an embarrassing a percentage that if I even had the number right now, I would be embarrassed to share it. So that is really what I wanted to break down for my team, my leadership team, for me, and now for other home care owners, what are all of the steps to truly create a great conversion funnel? And I'm about to walk you through those 7 steps. So we're going to move fast and run through it because I want you to get it. And this is something that you'll analyze and think about and do the work a little bit later. But right now, I'm about to tell you the 7 steps in 7 words. All right. The first step, at the top of your funnel, first you have to create. You have to create that offer and create that messaging that will actually attract your right fit. So it's create, attract, capture, nurture, convert, deliver, and retain. That's the funnel in 7 words. Create, attract, capture, nurture, convert, deliver, and retain. So my conversion goes all the way through from the marketing, the sales, to the operations that make delivery happen and scale. Because I don't know about you, but I want to grow my business and I want to scale my business. And I don't want to have to undo every system and every process and every structure every time that I gain another $1 million in revenue or another $100,000 in monthly revenue. And it starts with create. First, you've got to create. And this is not a startup concept that I'm talking to. If you are at 1 million or if you're at 5 million, and I see this as a big thing. I just last week spent 2 hours with someone who is right at that 10 million mark, that they haven't dialed in their offer and they haven't dialed in their messaging. And so while they look good on revenue, their profitability is struggling and the leadership within their team is struggling because they don't know how to really message, like communicate what they do. So create your offer, create your messaging, and then it's got to attract. Once you understand who's your right fit client, what are you offering, what is your unique value position, and that irresistible offer that Alex Hermazzi might like to call it, what is that? Create that. And then once you know this is my audience, my right fit client, attract them by speaking to their pain points. You've got to know their pain points and attract them, whether it be on social media platforms, Google, on your website, in your messaging with doctors, with your referral partners. I guarantee you, if you go from a solutions first conversation and not services driven, people want solutions. Referral partners want solutions. Clients want solutions. Families want solutions. Your team wants solutions. Attract them by having a solutions first mindset and messaging. And then capture. Once you've attracted them and they're like, oh, she's speaking to me. That is a pain point that I have. Oh, wait, there's a solve. There's a resource out there. There's respite out there. There's someone who truly gets what I'm going through. There's someone willing to guide me through this. And then you've got to capture their information. You capture their interest. You've got their attention, right? They're tuning in because you're speaking to their pain points. Get their information. Do not miss out on that step. And like whenever I start working in a one-on-one capacity with my clients, I will go to their website. And I will tell you that 99% of the time when I go to their website, the only thing that I can do is book a call. And not even book a call like through a calendar link. It's like, call my office. And then sometimes I will call their office. And you know what? Nobody even answers. I have to leave a voicemail. And one of the like simple ways to capture is, do you have a lead generation form on your website that's like, download these for like the top 10 pain points and how to overcome them for family caregivers, or 3 ways to engage your loved one in a way that's positive approach to care, like whatever it may be, something that is of value to them that they'll put in their information, they'll put in their phone number, they'll put in that email so that you can actually create a lead and not waiting on them to, maybe they'll pick up the phone and call me. But that is capturing. Don't let potential leads slip away. Have a system in place to capture and collect that information, whether it be a website form, it could be a Google form, it could be a loadable guide, or simply a place where they can actually book a call through you. And there's things like Calendly is free. There's all kinds of free things out there that you can utilize to capture their actual information. And then once you get it, and I know I'm moving fast, but if I haven't addressed a pain point that you're currently dealing with now, I need you to let me know in the comments, because we'll have you on the next ActionCAST. But this is things that home care agencies of all levels are dealing with, and that they're letting leads, meaning revenue, slip through the cracks. And number 4, the 4th thing that you want to do in that funnel is nurture them. And the average amount of touch points that an agency does with a potential lead after the initial week is only 2. They only have 2 touch points. And then they either send them to like this generic newsletter where it's all about the highlights of your agency or highlights of your team, and it's not highlighting their pain point. But have a nurture sequence. How often are you reaching out to them afterwards? What does 3 days look like? What does 7 days look like? What is your 14 mark? What is your 30-day mark? What is your ongoing nurture sequence that actually addresses the pain points and it isn't just noise in their inbox? What is that for you? If you don't have that system yet, invest in really building that system. And then it leads into conversion. And there really is, if you're just going from, all right, I've captured their information, they called and asked for an assessment, they want us to come into the home, so now it goes into conversion, you're missing out on so many leads. You're missing out on really increasing your lead count and increasing your referral count and increasing your client count. Because at conversion, that's where the magic happens, right? That's whenever you have your sales process of whenever they call, I send them this and I follow up with this and I bring them in and I help them create, their care plan. It's a customized care plan. You need to do all of that. The sales is really about listening to their needs and clearly presenting your solution. And sometimes that solution may not hit every preference they have. You may not can meet this long list of what they desire in that unicorn caregiver, that there's only one of a kind in the entire world. But that's when you give that transparent communication of, based on your needs and my professional experience, this is the way that I'll recommend us go. And have those clear and defined expectations. We actually say, over the next 2 weeks, it's going to be a transitional period. You're going to meet at least 2 to 3 different caregivers. This allows us to commit on our deliver on our commitment of consistency. We're transparent with all that. And we let them know, we know that this can be an overwhelming time, just emotionally for you. So with working with us, we'll take all the overwhelm and uncertainty out with working with us, because we're going to guide you through each next step of the way. So here's what your care success path looks like, but let's just focus on this next step together right now. that way of converting not only lends to much higher conversions, it also is much easier to deliver on that promise. It's much easier to retain. It's much easier to get satisfaction that's positive, and it's much easier for us to say 2 or 3 weeks later, I am so glad that we were able to deliver on this promise and we've earned your trust. And that's whenever we could say, we would love for you to refer us to your friends. And we have a process for that. That's much more elegant. But our convert turns into deliver. Your service has to match the promises that you made during the sales process. If not, you've done yourself a disservice and probably hurt the reputation of your business more so than if you never would have took on the client to begin with. So you've got to have that seamless onboarding experience that leads to the excellent care that you've built trust in, that you've created those referring clients, and then retain them. And if you're not retaining your clients and you've got a lot of turnover, not only are you leaving so much money on the table, but you're literally taking a bucket and just punching holes right through it. That it's going to be really hard to meet not only the KPIs, but meet the profit margins that you want if retention is not just as much of a focus as generating those initial leads. So in a nutshell, and in less than 10 minutes, I walked you through a 7-step conversion funnel of create, attract, capture, nurture, convert, deliver, and retain. And I know that's a lot, but if you will take it and really begin to identify, what are you strong in right now? Out of those 7 things, there's something that you're doing really well. And I know this because you're here. It's got you to this point. Now let's identify a gap that you currently have, an area of that funnel that you're like, I need to improve on that.
That's awesome. And like you said, that's 10 minutes. And I want to remind everybody, this is rewindable after the live. Because that was a lot. And I loved how you wrapped it up with the retain, because I feel like that's that moment that we just release them into the universe and hope they do well, and that is such, retention is always your best form of leads in every aspect as far as like growing your business. That is so good. So I appreciate your generosity in sharing all that and in letting us see. I think everybody saw themselves, and there was that thing that just stood out like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even considered that part of it. And I hadn't even seen that part. Maybe we understand capture, or maybe this or that, but especially the higher up that business ladder you go, that becomes more and more costly. Those little errors, that 1% can cost you being able to open that second location, being able to do this, being able to grow in that area. If you haven't buttoned down that funnel and made it really this strong border of what you do in business, it is a big deal for business owners. And I appreciate that. I know that I see you give wisdom and experience to owners in these private settings. And then to see you share so much with a lot of the people here, maybe they're just in that startup phase, and maybe they're just in early business. So maybe this is more vision casting for them. Maybe this isn't exactly where they're at, like you said, but then some of them are in a place where they feel like, oh my gosh, I should have seen this all along. How am I at this X amount of revenue and I haven't seen this? So, and I know you've probably been in that place where you have that moment where you're like, oh my God, how did I get here? So what about for that owner that's there and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a layer missing out of my funnel?
Yeah. Well, I'll just start at the beginning, and I'll start with right now. If you are a startup and you're like, I'm just at the beginning, congratulations. You just got 17 years ahead of where I was 17 years ago, right? When I was a startup 17 years ago, if I would have known, hey, there's actually 7 steps in this funnel, and this is what I need to look for, and this is the pain points that I know I have to overcome right at the beginning, you just accelerated your route to success. And if you're a home care owner like I was, and you're like, I've been in it, I've hit the $100,000 a month in revenue, and I have scaled beyond that, but man, am I stuck at where I am right now. I really encourage you, take 15 minutes today and just put those 7 words, like the create, the attract, capture, nurture, convert, deliver, and retain. Write it down, right? The 7 words down your page and identify where am I the strongest at? Why am I the strongest in that area? And then where am I currently missing out? Where do I not have a system built in there? Where do I not have intentional actions or intentional touch points to meet that required step of the process of actually converting leads into revenue? Take 15 minutes. It won't even take you that long. And then really commit to, over the next 30 days, pick one step in your funnel, just one step, and work on improving that. Let your team know, hey, we're going to work on improving this over the next 90 days. We're going to improve the initial creation of it. And then what's the follow-up and what's the follow-through for that one step in the funnel. And once you've got that and you're improving that, you can go to the next one. And in home care ops and with our action leaders and our coaching clients and with the members of the board, that's something that we encourage them to do, is you constantly analyze what's working, what's not, what am I missing, where do I need to improve? And then you prioritize that thing that you're needing to do and commit to doing it and then implement. Like we have to take action, and the more strategic that we can take the action, the better the outcomes are going to be. And I know for me, like my mission is to help more home care owners solve more problems so that they can run that profitable business that is scalable. It is straightforward. It is sustainable. And one of the things that I do is every month I select 10 home care owners and I get on a 10-minute $1 million call with them. And that's not just a sales thing. In 10 minutes, I help you identify the way that you can increase your revenue by $1 million in just 10 minutes. And what I'm going to do today, if you've made it to this point, at 36 minutes in, and you're like, you know what, I need this. I need to identify where that my funnel is broken or my system is broken, or I need to install a system, then I encourage you to just put leads in the comments. And whenever you put leads in the comments, I'm going to have my team DM you a link. And that link will qualify you to get on a call, to schedule a call with me. And we'll do a 10-minute $1 million call. And this is an opportunity that I'm going to open up a few more spots this week and over the course of next week so that I can get, I'm sure that there's about 10,000 people in our audience here. I'm sure that those 10 spots are going to go fast, but because I want to help you. I want to help you identify how is revenue slipping through the cracks. How can I turn all of this opportunity on all of this potential into actual revenue? My goal is to help fill those gaps in turning leads into revenue for you and your agency so that you can grow, that you can scale with confidence. So put leads in the comments, and my team will DM you a link so that you can take next steps from there to schedule that 10-minute $1 million call with me.
Okay. I will say, like, I have been involved, like, we never even hardly talk about it on here. I don't know that we ever have. And so that is an amazing opportunity. I'm supposed to be host extraordinaire. I'm speechless at this point. This was awesome talk. I really appreciate it. For those, she said the word leads, if you're interested in that. For the other ones that are just, this has been an amazing, rewatch this, rewatch, take notes. Like, I promise you will get more each time you listen. This is how we gain knowledge and information. And wisdom is applied knowledge. That's all it is. Wisdom is applied knowledge. Wisdom is taking the knowledge and then learning the way to apply this in your business, in your career. And whether you're aiming for $100,000 a month or you're going way past it, this is the steps. The steps will never change. And that's what she has gone through today. This has been amazing. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Join us next time for ActionCAST.